Hi there, and welcome to Nerf News from the Owl Ranch, Episode 4, The Next Generation. I am your host, Chris Cartaya, and we all love the city, how beautiful it is, how great it can be, and how shitty it can be. But hey, you know, those New Yorkers, they love it. It's their life, like hanging around Jimi Hendrix, and I guess that's the life, you know. But at any rate, some of us pick a different kind of life, and our different kind of life is to pursue Nerf to its fullest and its greatest of truth. But before I get to the news, I would like to point something out, very important as a disclaimer. Okay, first off, if you're a source and you want to talk to me, you can always PM me at Chris Cartaya, Facebook, send me an IM, and I will post it. And I will also ask you, what level of anonymity do you want? Do you want to disclose it freely? Do you want to do a soundbite like Trip Miller did? I will fully allow that to both parties, to all parties involved in anything that I'm doing. You have a right to talk to me and ask me, but it is up to you to post it, and it is up to you to tell me, hey, this is a problem with that, and I have a problem with that. As for posting anything online, I want to also remind you that I have the literary right to do so, editorial literary right. If it's there, it's publicly posted, and it doesn't violate any secrecy or security laws, I have every right to do so. I would like you to read this. Journalists have a right to report and publish information without conducting an interview, providing the information is legally obtained, accurately represented, and not subject to strict privacy and non-disclosure laws. A group of people discuss it on a forum. I'm allowed to discuss it. Somebody posts something that was not subject to non-disclosure laws. This is why I asked Ryan from Gizmod, did you have an NDA with Out of Darts? No. Therefore, you publish on YouTube. Therefore, I'm allowed to answer it. Okay? If you got a problem with anything I gotta say, hey, post me a PM. But put in mind that everything you say is fair game, and I'm allowed to use it, and you don't like that, well, then be quiet. That's perfectly fine. Okay? But I had it out kind of this morning with one of my friends who said, well, it would be nice to get the other side's point of view. Really? So every time that we comment something on Facebook, let's say Hasbro does something we don't like. Let's say, for example, a gimmicky blaster or a policy or some ammo change. Do we have to wait to get Pawtucket, Massachusetts, approval to post something? No, we don't. We don't need to. We are not little children, okay? We have every right to publish what we see and what we think. It is our editorial journalistic right to do so, okay? And I made it very clear with this colleague that this is exactly what I was talking about, especially in the last episode about ethics. How things are like, well, don't you want to get the other guy's part of the story? I gave the guy a chance to get the other guy's story. His bedtime was 6 p.m. I mean, maybe if he changes his bedtime and decides to go on it was his choice not to go on Secondhand Blaster's forum. Not my choice. I did everything I could. And as for Out of Darts, I'm sure Luke Goodman knows who Chris Cartaya is. I'm sure Flex knows who Chris Cartaya is. But interesting about that is I don't think they're going to, and I'll tell you why. And even if they do, great, wonderful. I would love to hear from you. I really do want to do interviews and stuff like that as things progress. But the ball's in their court. And if they don't want to answer me, they don't have to. I mean, you know, with Out of Darts getting so mixed up with metrics rather than honesty, I mean, really, you know, like honesty, like how about when we do an approval sticker, we make sure it's actually in there? Or how about we make sure we have the stuff we have? Or how about picking honesty over a bunch of clowns who get orders wrong, and about policy that says, well, we should just go by metrics because all my Harvard, Stanford, and Yale friends say that. Wow. You know, what happened to this guy's credible in the industry to the point that we want to believe him? And what happened to a person who everybody knows in the hobby? I mean, my YouTube numbers have never been great, but everybody knows who I am pretty much. I mean, I got 18,000 views Facebook a month. But when it comes to actually YouTube, very few. And that's because I've never been the biggest YouTuber in the world. Metrics doesn't always tell you everything. Marketing doesn't always tell you everything. And the repute of the people is much different. And I say the same thing about ethics, how this is a great example of ethics. How the law clearly says I got a legal right to report what I did, but someone is going to bitch about it. And, okay, you're free to bitch. It's a free country. But it's my free right to report, too. So that's the whole thing. And if you don't like it, okay, do your own news show. My friend Trip actually asked him, okay, so what's the link to your news channel? And I laughed. I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was really funny. But at any rate, let's get this show on the road, shall we? So Berei did a recent YouTube video. Berei, his name's Brett, and sometimes he wears a beret. Really nice guy. I played Nerf Wars with him and everything. But he's funny. He's one of the funny YouTubers, you know. Since Pablo left, we needed a funny YouTuber like Berei. And he decided, hey, let's post this about this Nerf movie that almost happened. You know what? It's a great idea. With the Barbie movies and the Lego movies and all that stuff. And Will Ferrell being in both of them, which I think he's doing that to support legacies of toys and such. Put in mind that Lego and Mattel are two different franchises entirely. So I think that's really cool. He's not just sticking to one franchise, but across one company. He's sticking to the same when he represents himself in a film. That's really great. But he talked about what would it be like to have an actual Nerf movie? What would it actually be like? And unfortunately, I think it would look exactly like you see here, right in the beginning. You know, where you see this kind of John Wick kind of stuff, this fantasy kind of stuff. Yeah. And I think the problem with Nerf is that we don't have characters. Well, we do have characters. Go on Facebook, and we are all a bunch of characters, aren't we? Yeah, exactly. So my whole point is that in the whole thing, he was talking about how, you know, a Nerf movie, about a Nerf story or something like that, in maybe the Nerf universe. What about our universe? So if we did a movie about the Nerf community, a lot like maybe Karate Kid was about karate and how people would pick on other people and use karate and learn from bad teachers and good teachers, like something like that. That's my idea of a Nerf movie. I have pitched a movie like that before, but Nerf wasn't as popular at the time, and neither was the community. And I was just basically told by a producer that let's wait to see what the Nerf community does, what the actual community of people does. But he had a very interesting point of view that Nerf doesn't really have characters. It's more toys. If you base it off the video game, okay, that might work, but you don't really have a Nerf universe per se, because when people go outside, they play with toys. Well, why not make it like about that, about your community? I mean, if it ever becomes popular, then there it is. And more the issues of the whole thing. And it was an interesting pitch. It didn't fly, of course. It was basically came out of that as, you know, kid, I think you really ought to flesh out this film, but I'm not sure Paramount or anybody or Universal or Warner Brothers would really want to do that at this moment. Not only that, but you would probably need approval by Hasbro, and that was his thing. We need approval by Hasbro. Well, now we're not Hasbro anymore. We're Dark Zone. We're a Worker. We're Game Face. We're all these companies and creators out of Darts, Xbox Games, Frontline Foam, Heath Pants, all them, everybody, all of us creators. Okay, so we're one big kind of group. And to be honest, I think that would be a better movie. But he does a very interesting movie. But guys, do you really think that it should look like this? I mean, we've seen so many of these YouTubes. And they're fun to watch and everything else. But really, do we really want to see a Barbie story version of a Nerf? No. I mean, it was cute seeing like the Barbie Playhouse and stuff like that. Even I watched it. I thought it was really interesting. But let's face it. I would do something that was a little bit more geared towards teens and adults. But what do you give the kids then? Well, that's true. And the problem is, do parents really want their kids being pushed on toy blasters? I was at a birthday party not too long ago, and me and their son were shooting at targets in the backyard. And there were some parents that were going, okay, get away from that, son. Get away from that. You know, because they didn't want their kids around perceivingly guns because they don't understand our culture. Well, that's why people like me have to educate them and everything else. But, you know, you see it. You know, not everybody is down with their kids playing with toy guns. And, or as we call them, blasters, as nomenclature. I had to correct myself, like I had to correct everybody else. But people see them not as blasters, as we've been trying to push them, as, you got it, guns. And I hate that that's still there, but it's still there. So that's why I don't think pushing this towards a kid's movie would work. But I think a teen movie would work. And of course, he puts in his usual wit and wisdom. Berei is a very witty guy who he himself really loves movies and really loves cinematography. So to be honest with you, I think he's got some good ideas. But I just, like I said, just like I pitched this 10 years ago about, same thing. we're going to have to flesh this out in order to get something good. And then take it to somebody who would be interested. Because also with the fact that it's not under one central company anymore, who exactly would back it? And you're talking a budget this day and age, even if it's on Netflix, 20, 25 million at least to shoot a decent Nerf movie about the tournaments, the communities, modders, printers, and the drama there is. I think it would be interesting, but it needs somebody to back it. It has finally come. The Axiom is here, and not just the 3D printed version by Rexfire, but the metal version by Saber. Look at the wake and how it's done. Now, the guy who originally did this with an HPA-CO2 blaster, that would be Nerfer X, or, of course, Peter Parker. And he put it up before Bradley did. But Bradley did the right thing here, and I'm going to show it in a second, where he didn't just show this. And of course, Bradley is a photographer. He shoots like wildlife and stuff like that. Really good. Wow, look how long that ultimate is. I don't know if I could ever go on the field with something that big. See, right, boom, bingo. That is exactly the right thing to do, Brad. Exactly. Quote your sources. Say where you found it. Give people credit where credit's due. Thank you, Bradley. Thank you so much for keeping peace between us snipers. I appreciate it a lot. But man, that thing is, let me wind that back, dude. That thing is huge. And I'm not talking huge in a great way. I mean, this is why I don't shoot a Saber. It's not that I don't like Saber. It's not that I don't think they're good. I have one of their plungers in there. Look at that. I know that's the Ultima. Okay, I know that's one with 164.5 or not 8. It's 1.4.8 cc's barrel. Look at that. Holy shit. Not only that, but it has a castle bolt. So if you have a castle wrench, it's great. If you're a guy who has a bunch of AR-15s, maybe you got 20 AR-15s, and you're one of the few that have a castle wrench. But that's what you need to adjust your stock, and that's also what you need to adjust your speed of your blaster. And it comes loose very easy. My God. I mean, that's bigger than a Berei 50. I mean, I love the machining. I love the blaster, but it's a good blaster. And if you really want to go the distance, go for it. But to me, it's just too big. And I'm a 6 foot tall guy at 225 pounds. It's just too big. But it's a great blaster. It's got bearings in the front. So each to his own is what I'm trying to say. I'm not knocking or not knocking. I'm just saying, like a lever action, not my thing. Not my thing. But you know what? He does lots of comparisons of this. And he compares the three. The one with the lighter bearings, the heavier bearings, and the 3D printed one. And what we saw, thank you. Thank you so much for quoting that, Bradley. You're awesome. You are. But he does accuracy tests on these. And what we see here is they're pretty much about the same, you know. I think, honestly, the one with the lighter bearings works more lighter. It doesn't press on the darts as much. As you know, I don't like rifling systems that press on the bearings on the darts very much. As a matter of fact, I like ones that open up the barrel. Merlin opens up the barrel, the exact opposite. Which this kind of does too with the porting and everything else. I gotta say, it's a cool looking blaster though. It's a solid blaster. It's just too long for me. Oh my goodness. Okay, so, and not to say it's not cool, it is cool. And then look, you can see the spin in the whole thing. And he does all of these tests at 100 feet. He compares all three of them. Then he does the elephant in the room that I honestly thought was going to be off because it has too much unsupported space. That's the ZQW Scar. Okay, and the problem that we have with that is it did exactly what I thought. Because it's unsupported barrel length, it basically, dart will go out, will either go one direction and bias towards one bearings, another direction and goes another. Take a look at how it just seems to go in three patterns. You got a few that go off over here, but you can see it's just three different patterns. Why? Because one time it's riding on these barrels, another it's running on these bearings, another it's running on these bearings. You'll see a few down here in a second. But it did what I thought it was going to do. This is why when you make a bearing attachment, see, there you go. There's the third bearing. And I bet you anything that the way it was set up, and I wasn't looking at the blaster, so I don't know, and it's a guess, that I bet you the bearings were this way, this way, this way on its barrel, like boom, 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 or boom, 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 exactly. I bet you this follows the bearings exactly. It's only a guess, but it does show when you're designing these things, you got to take these things into consideration. Also, what I really liked was the fact that the Axiom, the inner P-Car is exchangeable. But let's put it this way. It's too short to be a Merlin, I'll be honest. And not only that, but the Merlin goes out and rides on the actual barrel length, not presses in. So it's something that would have to be independently designed if you were to use an insert. Sorry, guys. I don't think a Merlin insert would work for that reason. But you see 3 distinct patterns. When you see the rest of it, and there's the one that went kind of off tangent. Maybe it was a bad dart. But you can see that the dart is majorly dogtailing bad, too. It's not really going out of there even. Oh, man. Oh, it's just so ugly to watch. But let's go to the summary, shall we? Okay, so he shows us the accuracy results of all 3. And they're pretty consistent. The Ascara, so the Ascara is still really good. And as a matter of fact, if you want to lighten your setup, going 3D printing might be a better idea. Okay, you know, the metal one, I like the metal one myself. If I were to get one, it would be metal for sure. You know, and he discussed it in great detail. And between all 3 of them, the Axiom about the same darts, same blaster. Okay, he was very fair on all of them. This is what I like about his videos, is that he is fair and concise, and his filming skill and photography skills. You got to see his wildlife photography. It's bitchin'. I actually like it for his wildlife photography more than anything. And then the small barrel Axiom. But I could see that in this firing video, the darts were smoother. You can see the other trajectories. It's, you know, this seems like it's going a little higher. And he did put them all together. So they didn't all land there. So one landed here, one landed here. Yeah, you see what I mean. But ZQW, that is a great example of go back and do it again. Let's go back to Facebook land for a minute. And I would like to show you Darcy Henderson's newest accomplishment for the blaster I haven't been able to afford. And I've been too busy to do, and Valor's got to print it for me. But because I'm not a 3D printer, as you know, I'm mainly mod stock. There's very few times I will actually get a 3D printed blaster. This is a great exception, guys. It's called the Dual Mag, and the Dual Mag just graduated to using, oh man, Nightingale mags. Nice. I mean, I bought the Brute Pros simply because they're Nightingale instead of in-mag loading like the MK2s, and I got to use them. And by the way, if you do the rifling just right, and you're reinforcing inside, and you get rid of that slam mode, it is a great blaster. But out of the box, it was a couple steps of raw before cooked when it came out. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, that's so bitchin'. That's so bitchin'. I mean, I love that. And then he does have a 1/2-inch pusher, which, by the way, he actually did a design for me to fit a piece of stainless steel so I can interlock that into 17/32. I'm sure he's going to come out with an O-ring one too, but I like this a lot, you know. So what is the Dual Mag exactly? Okay, so here it is right here. This is on Core Playzone's channel. He was given one to evaluate the Dual Mag. So it's based off of the Dual Strike. And as you know, the Dual Strike has all that travel and a big plunger tube. And what it does is it makes it so if you throw a long shot spring in here and a long barrel, you're clocking 300. If you put 14 kilograms, it's about 240, 250. And if you throw megas in here and you keep the mega adapter, which a lot of people don't do, but I encourage that, I really do. The variable lengths on the draw too in the design. You can throw like mega darts 130. So the cool thing about this blaster is not just that it's based off of a very proven Nerf pistol, okay? But it's also that it's very configurable of a design. There's lots of options and things you can do. So Darcy Henderson designed this blaster. You got variable draw length. So these are the draw for your trigger catches. So you have a little notch with trigger catches. Well, you can make it draw really late, kind of late, or really early, and you can adjust the range of the blaster. Remember what I was talking about, how metal parts increase the range of a blaster. Why not go with that? Well, I mean, if you only wanted to not shoot 200 because you think 300 is a murder weapon, and some people do. I consider basically anything legal on the field that is not classified past a harmless arm. Okay, Nerf blasters are harmless arms. That's why they have the orange tips on them. Okay, if it's green tip, you know what I mean, then that would be more like a riot weapon. Okay, a riot control weapon. That's not what Nerf is, but, well, it can be, but don't do it. You have varying controls, and you also have a ball bearing pump action. I very seldomly get a Nerf blaster that's 3D printed. Almost everything I have is not. And other than very few components do I do it. And this is one of the few exceptions I'm making to do it. The problem is, I got to be honest with you, good old Chris here, it's a strange world of hardware kits and shipping and printing and everything else, especially since I don't 3D print. I mainly use composites, fiberglass, epoxy, glues, resins, things and such. But look at this thing. Oh, man. And for them to finally come out with an actual Nightingale mag holder, which in my opinion makes it so the darts don't zigzag when they're in the frame, when they're in the frame of the magazine, I think that's really great. I have wanted this blaster, and sadly, I'm sorry, I ran out of money. It was before Geddon. So this is what he did. What I could do with this, put in mind, I made one of these pistols go over 300. I can do the same thing. And I'm probably going to have Valor print up those plunger rods, probably in very, very, compared to a Harrier, yeah, very, very tough. Probably out of some nylon SLS or something really strong. That way I can really reinforce it. Or I'm going to want to know the composite and probably fiberglass around that. So I can throw like 22 kilograms of spring on it and really just go to war. Because everybody knows my style of play. Everybody knows I'm a sniper. And I love that. That's so cool. You know, he did such a good job on this. And I've been encouraging him to do this. And to not be able to buy it, I feel bad. You know, it's like the S400. Everybody begs me to get an S400. I don't really feel the desire because it's a supported barrel. I like free-floating barrels. You know, that's me. No barrel shrouds. Unless it's like an AEB. Okay, you're going 170, 190 feet per second. Fine, that's fine. But when you're talking about going to distance, you need as much to fall in the same place every time you fire. You got a massive amount of vibration in your blaster, and if everything doesn't line back up, it's going to put it in a different shooting position every time. You know, so like what happened with, let's say, Bradley's, Mauler, how he had a scope on there, but because it was an insert, it was going to move every time he fired, and it wasn't going to be in the same point of impact. He still hit a human target from 100 feet with an axiom, but the problem is that, you know, it's not stable. Even plastic, at least it falls into the same place. And if you want to reinforce under it, great, you know, but without that stableness. Now, this looks like it's built really good, really stable. Valor built bitchin' stuff. Okay, I covered him on the electrical mag, and it's solid work. Norman, too, the guy who made like the, I don't know where it is, but the AccuSaber, he does solid work. Some of the stuff's been ran over by trucks. Oh, here it is. I got this at Geddon. I got this in a raffle Geddon, and he makes great stuff. So for me, I will usually cite it to somebody else to do it, simply because I don't 3D print, and the stuff I do, it's so seldom that I either receive something that's 3D printed or need something 3D printed. Because most of the stuff, I just am very self-sufficient, make my own. But I will tell you this is a good thing, okay? It combines the skill of modding with the integration of 3D print. And I think that you should give this a look. You should give this a look, because these things can do 300 really nice. And we're not talking 300 all over the place, like with the gasket seals on the Nexus Pro 2s or the Nexus Pro X's, okay? We're talking about O-ring seal, quality, you know. You will notice that, okay, you can get a Pro X to go really fast, but the prime's really crazy. And the variability of the speed, because the air pressure hitting the dart is not consistent. When you're a sniper, you need things within, I would say, 5-6 FPS or less of variation, of deviation. You have to, because if you don't, you have no control of the verticalness. Now, put in mind, you are hitting people that are sticks. If you hit him here rather than here, actually better hit him here. He'll be at 400 feet per second. Oh my God. It'd be like that Darth Vader death grip, I tell you. On several forums, I think Nerfaholics Anonymous, maybe Nerf Mods Welcome, maybe Death by Nerf Blaster, but I couldn't find the post. I spent the last 15 minutes just trying to find this post, but a promise is a promise, and I really wanted to show you guys, man, look at this, with a Berei scar, 161 out of Night Finder. That's bitchin'. Not only that, but he used 11 kilogram spring instead of like 18.5 or whatever. Now, I can do 200 with a fire strike, but that's like 21 kilograms, okay? To do this in a plastic tube, which with a metal tube, it probably would shoot more like 230, 240. But to be honest with you, this is a really big accomplishment. And he says the same with laser accurate. And I love the fact that this guy James, how he really like played around with it. Like, I see your way of life now, Chris. It's a civilized blaster for a more civilized time. And I love to see modded projects like this. Look at that. Look at that exchangeable barrel right there. Oh, that's so bitchin'. That's just so bitchin'. See, that was a spring load right there. And look at this puny little plunger head, but yet it's so effective because it's direct. There's no breach. There's no O-ring to the breach, nothing. It's interlocking metal. It's direct. And look at this beautiful metal plunger. Wow. I mean, this is really cool. And, I mean, wow. Just wow. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. And, like, you see something like this, and this is good, but it's only doing 154. It's 3D printed. It's a lot bigger. Think about something that's, like, smaller than that, and it's pulling 161. That's really, with a bearing scar. With a bearing scar, mind you. That is really cool. So I think one day we're going to go back to those more civilized time when we get to the point where we see how much more accurate single shots are and everything else, especially since we start chasing the dragon at target competitions and things as such, rather than just sniping on large fields and things like that. One day we're going to get into sniper competitions. We're going to get into target competitions and stuff. It just hasn't become very popular yet. I mean, I've been a sniper for how many years now? I mean, well over a decade. Okay, and then came Brad, and then came Peter, and all those others we played. There were some long-range nerfers in Jana, Jungi, a lot of your SAB crowd as well that were also doing long-range. But I will say this, that the more factors you take out of the shooting system, the less that can go wrong. Unless, of course, you have them all dialed in perfectly. And that can be hard to do. But we're getting to the point where stuff like Saber, Ultimas, Apexes, Mark 13s, long shots and such can do that. And the darts are more consistent, and there's much more of attention to accuracy. And when that happens, you're going to see that this kind of play with the single shot pistols that go to the distance will do it. But for right now, we're still in an uncivilized time. We're getting there, though. I'm hoping to civilize this up. We're getting there. Finally, a Hasbro product I can actually talk about. Something that is notable and worthy and goes along with the philosophy of, if we can only throw darts at a certain speed, let's just throw a bunch of them at you. And something that's not honking huge like the Judge, but something that is just the coolest idea. We saw this at New York Toy Fair. Berei was there. A few other people went to Toy Fair. And let me tell you, this Nerf Ops Doom Cannon coming out June 15th, available on Amazon June 15th. You can see free delivery Friday, July 17th, which is pretty big. This comes out June 15th and delivery July 17th. Ooh, that's a discrepancy. That's a month. Especially if you want to get this before getting. Not that you would, but I would really love to run this in the awfuls round to freaking blast people with darts. You know, I'm sure we can do a lot of half-length conversions on this and other things with it. I'm pretty sure I would encourage Radioactive to definitely do some shells for this, some 3-time shells for this, and maybe some spring upgrades. So imagine if this thing does 60 feet per second with one set of barrels. Imagine if you had stuff in barrels with rifling, and you made it do like 120, 150. So 3 darts at 120, 150. That's a shotgun at 100 feet. I mean, imagine that. Not a shotgun at 40 feet or 30 feet, but shotgun at 100. That would still be pretty damn effective. Okay? So I don't know what the internals look like. I don't know what the inside looks like. But already I'm like, oh, I so want to, like, you know, I so want to mod this thing. I want to open it up and see what it can do. I really do. I really do. And I really think that it could be something cool. But only cool if other shells are available, and only cool if it can shoot half lengths. Because if we can mod it to shoot half lengths, wow. I mean, could you imagine? This thing would just kick ass. I mean, major ass. Okay? I mean, really, really good. So Trip Miller has put up a link about posting spring dimensions where you could submit them to him so that he has them. I'm going to post a link in either the comments or the description? Probably the comments. And the reason is because last time I tried to put his form in the comment in the description, I only have 500 characters, and I really would like to describe everybody else's submissions. I couldn't do that in the last episode. So remember last time I did Owl Ranch where I just didn't post links. Well, I'm hoping to change it this time, amongst many other things. The next time around, which is the next generation, which is now, I'm hoping to do things a little differently. But he has just a ton of spring submissions and everything else, public and private. But only the public ones is he's really going to post right now. We're going to decide on the other ones later, but we don't want to do anything that offends anybody or anything like that, any creators and stuff like that. So he has them, but he may not make those public. But stuff like the K28, the K26, the K25, spring constants, that sort of thing, he has been working tirelessly to build this database. Tirelessly work on the submissions and tirelessly to get ready for Survival Fest. And the guy is operating on like 4 hours of sleep right now. I feel so bad for him. Not only that, but he helped me come up with stuff for this week, including what I'm going to say about stuff that I had found out about the last post I put up. I have a correction I got to make. It's not a correction, more a clarification per se, but he found something very, very interesting I would like to talk about. And now for the main post of the day. And for that, I'm going to need my good old friend in Tennessee to help me out. Because, I got to tell you. So, I'll tell you the good part of this right here is, and this is a form they do every week. I am joining this. Okay, I am joining this. And there is, we are working out some stuff and perfecting it, of course. But this was absolutely an invaluable source of information, not just to me, but to anybody else who really wants a lowdown and skinny. Because Cillian, me, Deadpoo, Milo Mods, AJ, and Norco, we are literally like the anti-heroes of Nerf. Okay, we will call bullshit on whatever, and that's what we'll do. So here we were talking a little bit about Fox, and we were also talking about, Joe Fox, who didn't show up because it was past his bedtime, 6 Pacific. Yeah, my parents, they go to bed at 7, 8, and Dad's 75, not 76, sorry. He corrected me on that. And my mom is 71, so, wow, he goes to bed before my elderly parents do. Whew, tough life, man, tough life. I mean, but nonetheless, we were talking about this, and they, in this forum, I asked them, okay, why does a vulture have a feed problem? And they're like, oh, well, the way the feed is, it only takes a certain narrow kind of dart. Oh, well, I found out what the real issue was with this. It was actually that when Out of Darts decided to print it and make it, they used a constant force spring that was about twice as much. They basically used whatever they had hand. These springs that are in, like, let's say the 35-round drum, the 25-round drum, the 18-round drum, or the 50-round drum Nerf blaster. Here, I'll show you. Okay, if it looks like it's really dusty, that's because it is, because it's sitting up there. Oh, and I have some prototype darts in there. How about that? So what happens is you have this little coil that's in there, and it basically keeps it so that the force is pretty much from the beginning to the end almost the same. It tightens up a little bit, and the thing with these springs is they're coils. They're stainless steel coils that go round and round and round and round like that. So your spring force is the coiling of the spring going up. Not, let's say, the compression of the spring. Like, I can't believe I can't find a spring right now in this damn room. In my room, I can't find a spring. Are you kidding me? A spring that goes with the force exerted upon it. So it is a pull extension spring that's literally like a stainless steel coil. When you pull, it expands, and it only goes up in weight, very little. So imagine a tube shotgun now, okay? Let's say like your daddy's shotgun. Let's say you get your Remington Model 880 or some shit. You have these really big long springs, and they're long to have force in the beginning and just only a little more force in the end. These things are literally like slinky springs. And so when you put in 8 rounds in there, especially when you're going from 5 to 8 to give you a new spring with extension down tube, that's why. So it has enough force to go into the chamber, but it does not have so much that crushes it. Now, back in the day, you hear about all these shotguns back in the 1800s, 1900s. that when they tried to go too fat, the springs were too strong. And the buckshots back then, the shells were made out of paper, and they would crunch, and you would see gunpowder shells fall out, usually like little bird shot fall out of some because they would crumble. That's another reason why they went to plastic. So at any rate, it goes down. And what happens is you have is that it can crunch it. So imagine you got your darts in there, okay, and you have normal pressure, fine. But then when you start to, okay, it's going to buckle. See, like that. And if you have too much pressure and you got all of these darts in there, they're all going to buckle and they're not going to feed right. So, again, when you're a designer, you got to keep control of your design, including spring forces. Because if you use the wrong one, well, there it is. And then we were talking yesterday about Ryan. And the fact that Ryan, he more or less was fired for his honesty. Now, they can claim metrics and all that, but this comes to show you that metrics aren't everything. Look how much of a shitstorm has been created by this. Metrics, you know what I mean? It's not everything. Look at me, for example. People know who I am. There you go. You know, so when it's credibility, I mean, my metrics are terrible. I have very, very little views and stuff, but I go to a Nerf meet. Everybody knows who I am. Everybody talks to me, everything like that. People judge me by my modding skill and by what I do. And also, I have a Facebook page, Death by Nerf Blaster, if you've never seen it, along with Nerf Cyber Community and United States Nerf Wars. So I've been in this community for a long time. Death by Nerf Blaster has been up since 2014. I've been in the community since about late 2011, 2012. So I've been around for a while, okay? And your name carries around. So you can't judge everything by just numbers. What is this guy going to do for you one day if you were to hire him? And it would make you proud, trust me. Because he's the guy that would call bullshit on a supplier that's trying to sell you a bunch of junk that doesn't work. He's the kind of guy that would tell you if an employee is doing a big ditty party backstage. He's the kind of guy that would review it honestly. And that's the thing with an honest reviewer. Maybe he wasn't in the right place. They said this in this forum. It's not my idea. They said in this forum. I think Milomont said it, actually. Or was it AJ? It was one of those. That he's maybe better off being somebody who tests the blaster before you give it to a reviewer. And then see what's going on. Like when you get the product sample from the supplier, or when you print your first one off your 3D printing farm. Maybe he's the guy for that kind of quality control. Maybe sending it out to review before quality control is not a good idea. Or if you do, don't assume that's going to be perfect and accept whatever the reviewer gives you. Okay? I think metrics is a terrible reason for it. Even if what he wrote was true. Even in the Gibbs mod post. Even if what they wrote was true. And it might be. Okay? And they would have every right to give it and they do have every right to do whatever they want. It's their business. However, that doesn't mean you're not going to get crap for it from the community. And it doesn't mean that they don't have a right to post whatever they want. And you got to remember that posters, a lot of them have their own egos, their own playing, their own play style stuff. Even if they're not a YouTuber, even if they're not a 3D printer, even if they're not a creator, they still do. So you have to keep all that in mind when you're running a company like Out of Darts, and I'm sure they do. And I hope that we see more honesty in Nerf. I hope we see more integrity in Nerf. And I hope that we see some good play and we go out there and kick ass. So till next time, this is Chris Cartaya. Get your drink on. Don't you go changing. I'll find you.